All right, thank you for joining us on this webinar. My name is Daryl Martin with ApexInvesting.com. This is another series in Be the Sniper or Be the Target, and you have a choice to make. You're either going to be the target if you don't make a choice, or you can be the sniper by knowing how to focus on the markets, where to enter, where to exit, where to take your profits. And if you want to get a free trial to what we're talking about today, check it out at ApexInvesting.com/bootcamp. As always, got to throw up the risk disclosures, all that fun stuff. And we're going to go over simplicity tonight. How does that sound? We're going to dive into the initial entries, the early entries, and the LREs. I'm also going to go into using support and resistance congestion to help you improve your results. That sound like something that's worth staying on for? Awesome. All right, getting some good feedback there. Okay, so let's pull up a simplicity chart. If you're a gold member, you have access to this. If you're a silver member, you have access to it at least in the elite room. I do not incorporate 30-tick charts into my simplicity analysis. It's a question from Fadwa as to how do I incorporate 30 ticks. I don't incorporate it in my simplicity analysis at all. And then... okay, so this is actually a simplicity trade I got tonight. Let's look at it. So what we're looking for on an initial simplicity entry, okay, is to get to the dotted line and the solid line. One of them is feeding implied volatility from the CBOE indices. So it's seeing if IV or implied volatility or expected movement and price are lining up. And so we're looking for both to angle up. And then we're looking for the high of that 30-second bar to be broken. Okay? Does everybody get that so far? So basically, I'm looking for it to break the high right there. As soon as it breaks it, I'm in the trade. Does that make sense? Two green up lines. And then break the high of the bar and we're in. Okay? Our initial stop loss is if it closes below the green line. For a hard stop, you could put a stop 5 points below it. So why not the high of the previous bar? Because this bar is the dotted line is angling down, and this bar is angling up. We need both to be angling up. Does that make sense, Marco? See how it's angling down right there? It's not until this bar closes right here that we get both of them angling up. I have them on there. There's just not any where we're at right now. Okay. So, everybody understands where our entry is, why that's our entry, why the previous bar is not our entry, that our stop is if it closes, not touches, but closes below the solid line. Everybody's got that, right? And this is important that you understand because you have to know that in order to know what an LRE is. If you don't know where there's an original simplicity entry, you can't know what a LRE or a low risk entry is, or lower risk entry, okay? Now I don't move my stop up until the solid green line gets above my entry. So my stop stays here until the solid green line gets above my entry. All right, somebody asked questions. So you want the solid green line to break the high of the bar? Nope, I didn't say that. I want the solid green line to be angling up, meaning the plot before to the next plot is higher. Not breaking, just higher. Just two angle up. This right here, this little section right here, This little section right here that's angling up. So it doesn't have to break the high of anything as far as the solid lines are concerned. Once the two solid lines, the solid line and the dotted line, are angling up, that becomes a setup bar so long as on the very next bar, the high of the bar is broken. So once you got the angled line and the solid line angling up, that becomes a setup bar as long as the high of the very next bar is broken. Okay? And then your stop is going to be down here. If it closes below the solid line down at this point, and you can have your hard stop at like 5 points below that line. And then you don't trail your stop until the solid line gets above the entry point. So we wouldn't even really trail it till, well, I guess we trail it right there. No, right there, didn't get above it. Wouldn't be till here that we trail it. Okay? You can use a limit or a market entry. So if you're fast enough to get the limit entry on, you can put a limit entry on. Or you can hit the buy the second it breaks it. We're also working on making these new buy and sell buttons. So that allow you to, we're going to make a buy high, sell low, and we have a buy close, sell close. So these will allow you to buy or sell if the bar breaks the high. So that's in development right now. So hopefully in the next couple weeks we'll have that out. So you'll be able to buy close and sell close on the diagnostic charts. You'll be able to use the buy high and sell low on the simplicity charts. But in the meantime, you just use a market, or you put a limit order in if you have time. This actually will allow you to do a limit with an offset. So on the trailing strategy, like I said, I wouldn't trail until this solid line moves above my entry price. And then every bar after that, I would trail with it all the way up. Okay, and it doesn't knock me out until the price closes below, not at, but below the solid line. Okay? That is the trailing strategy. That's all there is to the trailing strategy. Now, do you always want to wait for it to retrace back 10 points and give all that money back?
Just because of how I have it zoomed.
So, what do you think would be a good target to get in a few ticks before, get out a few ticks before? Looking at this chart right now. Yeah, green ice. If it gets up close to green ice, you could take off your profit, right? Doesn't have to get right there. If it gets within like a point or so, you take it off, especially after you've made 10 plus points. So this is the trade I made tonight that made me a few $1,000s. Okay? And one thing you can do also is, because sometimes, does it break through levels? So what I'll do is, if I'm like, if I think it has the umph to break through it, we had green ice on ES and NQ at the same time, so I just went ahead and took some profit. But I'll tighten up with the dashed line if I think it's getting close. If I'm like, I don't want to get back all the way back down to here, I'll tighten up to the dash line. All right? Does that make sense? So when I get to a point where I'm nervous, like maybe it flies up here and then it's going into this wall, I may want to tighten up to the dashed line. Tighten it up again, tighten it up again. Okay? So, and it's not really about emotional nervousness, it's just about, I don't know if it's going to keep going or not. Looking at everything, it's a 50-50. I think I'm going to tighten up. All right. So does everybody have the? I mean, we. That's how simple it is. The entry, the stop, the trail stop, the ability to tighten your trail stop, and targets. So I got out right there. When I tighten to the dash line, I tighten literally to the dash line. I don't wait for it to close below it. Is everybody good on the entry, the stop, the trail stop, the ability to tighten the trail stop, the dash line, and targets? Like we're all good on that. As far as just a basic entry that works out. Okay. So now let's talk about an LRE. Okay? A lower risk entry. This entry is usually good for 5 to 20 points depending on the volatility. A lot of times at night I'm just going for 5. A lot of times during the day I'm going for 10. But it just depends on the volatility and what's around me. Would depend upon whether I went for more. So the market came back down here but did not close below the line. Right? Came down and didn't close below this line, but it came down to the line. So could that be, even though the colors have switched, can that be an LRE? Yes. So even though the colors have switched, this hasn't closed below the line, I can take that up and grab 5, 10. What if I think it's going back up to the green line? I can take it up to that. Okay. And then it switches over. Both are angling down. Right here. I could take this short. To me, that's actually not the exit. That's another entry. So now we get where both are angling down. And I could go short. If I was going to go short, what would be a target I might consider? Yeah, to the depth level, right? Goes around, it chops around. It even gives me a little bit of an LRE right there, and it comes on down and hits the depth level. Are y'all getting the idea? The horizontal green line is ice. It's one of our levels that we plot. Okay, so on simplicity, do we just trail or do we look at targets also? Now let's look at this. It flips around and goes short again. And I've taught this. When you get a big bar like this, what do you expect to happen? Do you expect it to keep going? You expect a pullback. So is that one where you'd be looking to take a short? So we wouldn't be looking at a short right there, right? Even if it would have broken the low. I mean, your stop would be insane. It'd be like, well, I mean, it's not that bad right now. It'd be 15 points, but still. So we get somebody to go over an example on an LRE again. So again, looking at this right here, doesn't angle, doesn't break below. That's not green. That's red, and we get another big bar. Do we take that short? Big bar. No. It turns around. It gives us a long. We got to angle up on the dotted line, angle up on the green line. Can we take that long and maybe target the dev level? Okay. Now it comes around and it pulls back and it touches the solid green line. What is that right there? It's an LRE. You can hop in, grab 5 points. During the day, grab 10 points maybe. This is the standard simplicity chart. And then here we're showing a lot of chop. We don't get anything, don't get anything. Finally we get something, we can go in. On a trade that oscillates around, comes back down. Now where does this come back down to? Let's look at this one as if we got in this short right here, okay? So you got in, you got your LRE, you're happy. It turns around, angling down, and then it breaks the low. It pulls back up pretty far, by the way. You would have had an LRE right there as well. But what I want you to really look at where is it at? Like, look right here. See where it's coming down, hitting this, coming down, stops, reverses. So if you're in this short and you stayed in it, it pulled all the way back down, which, I mean, it never stopped you out. Would that be an area to look at taking profit? It's also a previous dev level. There you go. Okay, so are y'all seeing, like, you really got to look for your targets because there's not always going to be a level there? And the simplicity chart will give you plenty of oscillation targets. And then it didn't give you anything there, or there. So now let's go ahead and let's back up to the morning. All right, so we got pre-market here. So if you take this one, we're oscillating on a wall. Do y'all see that? This entire time? It's oscillating between this dev and this wall. You could take it, but it's right on a wall. It's just hanging out there. Should that make you nervous if it's just oscillating on a wall? So if you took it, it was a small risk. You know, a few points. It wasn't too bad. Okay? But then it turns around right here and gives us a short, but after 2 big bars dropping down. And this is what's called an early entry. It's when you have the solid line is below the dotted line on a short. But you got 2 big bars. So let's just say if you did take it, okay, one, your initial stop would be at the high here, and then you'd have to adjust your stop to the solid line here. Is that a trade you want to take with that much risk on it? Okay, but do y'all understand how the stop works on a early entry? An early entry being when the solid line is below the dotted line on a short, or the solid line is above the dotted line on a long. Okay? So say you don't take that, it pulls back. What do you have right here that you could do? LRE. There you go. What would be a good target? I mean, we know we got our, 5-10 points, but is there a target we can see on the chart that makes sense? Yeah, it goes down to that wall, and it just oscillates at it for 5 minutes. Okay, and then it happened to drop further. Don't worry, you're not going to get all the move. We're not trying to get all the move. right? And then what do you have right here? What is this? It's another LRE. Go right down to that wall and settlement. See, so that wasn't as big as a move you're going for. This one could have been a 15-point move you went for. You know, that one was going for... That one was exactly 10 points. Where do you enter the LRE setup? When it gets within 2 points or less of the solid line. So when it's pulling back right here of the previous solid line, not the live line. That's really important. Not the live line. The previous solid line. I do not wait for the bar to close. So it gets up here. It's within 2 points. I take it. I go short. I have a 5-point stop. Or if it closes above the line, take it down. Get out of that wall. Drops down again. Pulls back up. As soon as it gets within 2 points or less of that line, I go short. Take it down to that wall. Would I do 3 what if I was too slow to click? I wouldn't do it 3 points away, no. It has to be 2 points or less. So y'all see where I entered? I would have entered, literally, I mean, I can draw it. Let's see here if it gives me arrows. Like right there. I would have entered and went in. And then here. Got within a couple points of that. I would have entered and got out right there. Points, not ticks. Points. We're trading simplicity. We're going for points, not ticks. Okay, another rule on LREs is you don't take more than 2 in the same trend. So when it goes back up to here, do I take a short? Question is, where's the stop on the LRE? It is 5 points above the solid line, or if it closes above it. So when I get in, I put a stop 5 points up here, or if it closes above it, I get out. And then I set my take profit. 5 points above the solid line, not 5 points above my entry. Yep, a lot of times you will see LREs happening close to levels and walls, and that is ideal because those are oscillation points. So good eye, Abdul. So we go over here. This thing finally closes above this. We get a long. Now, in this long right here, I'd be a little nervous because we're going into 2 walls. So I'd be faster once it went up there to tighten up to my dotted line. At least to protect, my initial entry. So both are angling up right there. Looks like it broke by a tick. So I'd at least tighten it up and then I'd let it have some room. Then I could tighten up with the solid line. Still in. Oh, by the way, what is that right there? LRE. Goes up. 75. About 84. Now, one thing I will do is when it's up 5 points, I'll tighten it up to break even on an LRE. Because why be up 9 points and give back 15? Does that make sense? If my stop is on the dotted line, it's a hard stop. If it's on the solid line, it's 5 points below the line is the hard stop. And if it closes below it, I get out before hitting the 5 points. So you don't even got to take the 5. It's just move it to break even, and it may move on up. And that one did. We got our 10 points. Got in right down here, and it came down. I probably put it like right behind the wall on that since we had a wall. Moves it on up. Now, if you're in the original simplicity, when you're trailing, you got 5 points below, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's going to hit it right there. All right, now we got angling down. Notice the bar doesn't have to close down, just they have to angle down. So there's an up close, but both are angling down, so we can take a short below it. Goes down, it's coming back up. Keeps dropping. Okay, now we're right over here where we may break above the solid line. There we did. And we're out of the trade right there. Yep. So we had an early entry. We had the red line below the dotted line. Now, if you're looking at this long, let's say you're in here, what are you looking at as potential targets on this long? You got walls. What else do you have? One thing y'all aren't seeing. Resistance, yeah. So if I go over here, y'all see this resistance right here? Look at that. Are you glad you paid attention to resistance? Is this something some of y'all have been missing? Like I said, sometimes you get so caught up in the levels being drawn on the charts, you don't look to the left and go, am I coming into an area that it's bounced off of already? That might be a good point for me to take my profit or tighten my stop to the dotted line. One of the two. If you want to have a chance to let it run, you can tighten your stop to the dotted line. If you just want to grab the profit, you can grab it right there. Either one of those is right. You're not wrong by tightening it up, and you're not wrong by taking it. You'll feel wrong if it takes off. But that's okay. You got to be okay with not getting all the profit in a possible trade. Your goal is to first survive, second trade well, third make money. In that order. First survive, second trade well, third make money. Notice the first one is not make money. If your first goal is making money, you're going to have fear of missing out, and you're going to feel like every trade is going to go to the moon, and you're never going to take profits, and you're going to give them all back. Has anybody went through that before? It's like, I'm always up, but then I always give it back. And if you even look to the left here, you can see where this is a major oscillation point. Do y'all see this? Like, look right here. It's like if I can draw a line right there. Like right through the middle of that. Do y'all see that? My not so straight line? Is that a wall or a level? Tomorrow's blue ice isn't on this chart. It's some kind of level. There you go. That's a good answer. It's some kind of level. But it's not a established level. Do I want to take an LRE off some kind of level where it oscillates up and down below it? Think about that. It's oscillating below it, and it's oscillating above it, and it's oscillating below it, and it's oscillating above it. Is that something I want to count on to bounce off of? Like, does that make sense to you? Like, I don't just want to say it, but does it make sense? Like, if it's oscillating above and below, probably not the best area for me to be taking an LRE off of. And you probably would have got stopped out on it. Never got a short there. Let's see, no short. Just now getting a short right into this wall. Do you like that trade? What else is wrong with this trade? The time of day. It's in the dark zone. Oh, things go nuts. So you let that mess work itself out. And it was pretty sloppy this morning to begin with. We're still stuck in this big old range right here from the open. And now it's finally starting to take off and break out of it. All right, there's a short. Right here. Got angle down, doesn't break the low. Angle down, it breaks the low by a tick. Keeps going, comes down to this wall, and then this wall could be tightening up. Would be a good thing to tighten up when you're running into double walls. Nothing going on right here. Another short. Going into a wall. Don't really like that. So I probably would have skipped that trade because it's going right into a wall. Got another short going right into a wall, but I do like, even with the walls, I do like the LREs. So that LRE right there would be a good trade. Because it's oscillating around that wall. And it's an established level, not just a line in the sand. What is the rule for the solid line and the dotted line? The solid line and dotted line must both be angling in the same direction after a flip to be considered for a setup bar. And the solid line is your initial stop. You don't move your stop until you move below the solid line moves below your initial entry. Or until you maybe move down to the dotted line because like you're back to settlement again. And you're out. So yep, that's an LRE short right there. I like them on walls. We got a short right here, going into a gold level. I'll be a little nervous about that one, but it works out a little bit there. Got a long coming back into that same gold level. Comes up to settlement. Works out. Got a low risk entry. That works out. All right, so what questions do y'all have? Where's the entry on the LRE short? Back here, there was a short. It came back into this within 2 points of this level, and you got an LRE short. So within 2 points of the previous solid line. Where's the entry in our reset? You'd have to have both colors change direction. And then both colors change direction again, and then it'd be just a normal simplicity entry. It's probably gold because I think there's a dynamic magnet painted on top of a wall. Do the colors of the candles matter? No, they do not. For LREs, you only trade 2 pullbacks, but no more than that. That is correct. I've said I like smooth turns versus rough turns. Yeah, like, see, this is a very smooth turnaround right here. Price comes down. It's like a little cup handle. Goes right back up. Whereas a rough turn would be like way back here. When you're seeing stuff like this, of course, that's the open. Like, that would be a rough, like, when it's just boom, boom, boom. Like, it's not smooth. It didn't curve around and give me an entry. It curved around, fell way down, and then gave me an entry. Versus curving up and giving me an entry. When I'm in a trade, do I execute from the 30-second chart or the 10-tick chart? I execute from the 30-second chart. I use my 10-tick chart on NQ to do my sniper trades because I have my ATM, my automated trade management that sets my stop and take profit built in to that chart. What's the thinking when you see a crossover, the same color or a different color? I don't really worry about crossovers. I just worry, are both things angling in the right direction? And is the lower high broken? Seems like you can have several short or long entries along the way. You can. Yeah, except for on the additional entries, they're LREs. The only way you can, is there market replay with simplicity? The only way you can do market replay with simplicity is if you, I don't even know how to do it because I don't do it, but you can go into Ninja and you can set it to record the data, and then you can replay the data that you've recorded. Seems like the best LREs when it gets close to a solid line with the wick. It doesn't really matter if there's a wick or not. It's just they're better if they're off of a wall. If you have an early entry, can you enter later? If you miss the original entry, no, but you can take an LRE. Christopher Corrigan knows how to do it, so if you want to ask him in the elite room, like in the morning or something, he could tell you how to record. What other questions do y'all have, if any? This is sort of a summary of all the videos that I've made. But I wanted to go through and sort of recover it to tighten up some of the rules that some of y'all may have missed out on. Do I watch a level for entry or both lines going in the same direction? I watch for both lines going in the same direction. They have to be angled. And when I say angled, I mean I don't have to stare at my chart to figure out if it's an angle. Sniper entries, we take off sniper charts. An early entry for a long is the same. Yeah, we'll see if we can scroll. See if we find one. There's an early entry for a long. They're both angling up. Right there, angle up, breaks the high, take it up. When do you get out? You have 3 ways to get out, Tony. Okay, one is, let's say you took this entry. Your stop's right here. You trail it as soon as the solid line gets above your entry. 5 points behind the solid line, or if it closes below it. Okay? 2 is when it comes up to a certain level. Like maybe it comes up to this dev and you decide to tighten up to the dash line. Is the second entry that's a little more conservative. You can tighten it up with that. And the third is at a target, you can decide just to take profit. Like if it hits red ice, no matter what, you know, it's also a gap level with red ice, I'm going to just take it off. Does that make sense, Tony? Like those are the 3 exits. So you got your very give it room trailing exit, you got your tighten it up because you're worried about an exit, and you got your target because it hit a level exit. What is a gap level? When the market closes on Sunday and opens on Monday, when it closes on Friday and opens on Sunday, there's usually a gap, which often does fill. Trying to see if I can find it. That's not it. Right on my 16th. Let's see, what was the date? Yeah, the 16th. Okay, so it's like right here. See how this right here, and then it gapped up. So that was the gap point. Like it gapped between these 2 levels. On ES and NQ, there are 4 ticks to 1 point because they tick in quarters. So 4 quarters and $1. My screen froze when I was in a trade. I was moving the time frame meter on the bottom of the screen, causing it to freeze. How do you reset this quickly? I got stopped out. Okay, so don't zoom way out on a diagnostic chart or it will freeze. The fastest way to do that is to close Ninja, open it back up, and that's why we always say to close down with a closed workspace. And if all your charts try to open up, close those workspaces and then connect to your data. But the biggest answer is don't zoom way out on a diagnostic chart. It can freeze up the screen. How do you play the gap? You can't do it with a funded account, so it's pretty dangerous. You have to really, really, really know gaps. So I recommend that you don't play the gaps. Now you can expect it to retrace back to that gap, which it usually does. So it may just take it a while to get back down there. So, because that thing can gap 40 points against you. All right, is there any questions that I missed? Do I use continuum with simplicity? Yeah, just like how John taught it last Thursday. You had the 50 tick charts up. You see it pull down, break back up, then give a simplicity short after it's broken out of a chop. Then yes. That was a very powerful webinar. If you didn't see that webinar last week, it's under webinars. You should definitely go watch it, because he showed you how to get some very big moves. So Dave was like, I love the 50-50. It changed everything. Like I said, just tonight, You know, got $3 grand on an ES and an NQ. So let's wrap it up. So reminder, refer and win, share and comment on facebook.com/Apex Investing for your chance to win a free month of the Elite Gold membership. Next week, I'm going to give out a free month of the Elite Gold membership. Okay? Mark, check out the 50/50 chart. Check out the webinar from last week. If you can't find it, just submit a help desk ticket and we will show you. We'll give the YouTube link as well. I don't have it open right now, Harmon, at night. But John does show you if you go back and look at his. What does it take to add simplicity charts? You need to be a gold member. And you need to subscribe to data. I cover this in the simplicity section under setups. You need to subscribe to either Kinetic or IQ feed. And then you have to add the instruments and you have to tell your market data access which one to pull the data from. All that is covered inside the videos. If you get lost on any step, just let us know. Or you can just watch Simplicity for free inside the Elite room. All right, y'all have a great evening. I'm going to wrap it up. And I look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow morning in the Elite room. Don't forget, if you want to check this out, go to apexinvesting.com/bootcamp. Don't forget to refer people for your chance to win a free month of gold membership next week. Hop on facebook.com/apexinvesting. Share as many comments as you can that we've posted and comment on them. Just get the word out there. And we'll pick somebody random to give away a free membership. All right, y'all have a great evening. I'll see you in the morning. Good night.